Hi guys. So even with the broken wrist, I still want to work on some dungeon tiles. Hey guys, what's going on? Michael here. So I'm gonna be moving a little slow today, but I got a few things that I thought that I would glue up. So I'm going to start out with a couple of dungeon tiles, and then I've got some cave pieces that I thought that maybe I would glue up as well. So what I'm doing right now, when you pull the dungeon tile pieces out of the mold, I'll show you. They always have a little bit of an edge, a lip on them. So I just run a file real quick over them. This is the one I just filed on camera, and that takes off some of that that lip, so that when you stack them, they look a little nicer. So I have a set of probably 5 or 6 different shapes of files. I've got round ones. This is a flat file that I'm using. I don't know if you can see that, but then I've got some triangular shaped ones. You can use anything really, but I'm trying to do these at a little bit of like a 45-degree angle, so that's why I'm using the flat. Just makes it a little easier. And I'm sorry my narration is not super great today, because it actually really hurts to hold this and file this at the same time. The wrist, yeah. So it's not an exciting story. I went to pick up a pizza, believe it or not, and coming out of the parking lot to go into the place, there's a set of steps that are porcelain tile steps, and it was a real humid, rainy, nasty day, and as soon as one foot touched the steps, I totally went down. And about 30 minutes later, I was still trying to decide whether or not I was going to throw up, pass out, or both. But suffice it to say, yeah, definitely hurt my wrist with that one. Damn it. There we go. This is not easy to do when you only have one hand. I have a whole new appreciation for what people go through. So when I do glue ups, I use this Aleene's tacky glue, which works really well. You just want to put it down decently heavy, otherwise the plaster pieces they don't really want to stick. And I usually take whatever one looks like it has the most glue on that and put that one down at the bottom. So the little wood frame that you see I'm using, I've just made up in the shop, and it's just basically to help me square these pieces as I go. Let me get myself a paper towel. So just kind of push back the base all the way into the corner, and once you do that, the rest of it will line up. And I always try and make sure that I wipe off the glue. Eventually I'm probably going to have to take a little bit of sandpaper and just clean up the glue that squirts out. And then I take this real little, it's a stenciling brush, to go back in and clean the squeeze out for the glue. Like I said, you want to put it on heavy enough that it does it, because otherwise the glue's down too thin to really want to stick well. But you don't want to leave it, or it's going to look like you got icing dripping down the walls, which is not a very good look. I think I had a little... had a little glob of something right in that corner, so when I pressed this back, it didn't line up perfectly square. So I just adjusted it there, and that looks a little better. Again, if you do this, hopefully you have two hands, which will make this a little easier for you. Once you've got it square, that's pretty much all there is to it. So I'm not going to move it around too much because I don't want to break the glue, but that's a straight wall piece as a glue up. So I'll change gears because I got two more of the straight wall pieces left to go. But let me adjust the camera here. There we go. I got the camera on tracking, so it wanted to follow me. So anyway, this is a cave piece, obviously. So we'll do this next, and I think I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little better what I'm doing. All right. So Hirst starts for the base, and then the wall pieces are 4-Bot Industries, and then I've got a couple of these little stalactite, stalagmite pieces to kind of decorate it out a little bit. So I've already kind of figured that the one stalagmite is going to go off the bottom there, and the other one's going to hang on the other side here. That's just how I want to do it. And then I've got this little pool piece up at the top, which will have a little bit of like a green, kind of a slimy water look to it. So I'm going to flip my wall pieces upside down like that, and I'll apply the glue to them all at once. Thank God I didn't put that cap on tight. That's my top. So since that's the bottom, I'm going to put the glue down just a hair heavier across it, just so that it can kind of squeeze into the irregularities in this. And then I'm going to rotate it. Ow. Because that'll be a little flatter. That's pretty good right there. And with these, we're really just stacking. The pieces are all different, but they're similar enough that they stack into a pretty neat wall piece. Alright, so we're going to take a moment to clean this up before we do the stalactites and the stalagmites, because we just don't want to let this glue set, and I'm not moving super fast. Go down a little bit, sorry about that, guys. There we go, that should give you a better view. Again, sorry, the camera was auto tracking. So I'll talk a little bit about my plans. So we are actually building these pieces, of course, for the D&D Athos campaign that we've been working on. Quite a few different dungeon pieces and miniatures and that kind of thing, and then a lot of other prep. And we are going to film the campaign as we play, the group of us. So camera wise, I'm planning on getting a few little cameras that I'll be able to mount for the filming of the campaign. But what'll be really great is when I do these kinds of videos, I can make stationary camera setups that then when I go and edit and cut the video together, you guys aren't looking at video that's tracking, but you're just looking at different viewpoints, and I'll switch between them. I think that'll have a much nicer look. I like this gimbal, but sometimes the software does some weird things when it's tracking. I'll look back at the camera and it'll be way off in the distance from where I want it to be. I want it to be easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. Alright, that is cleaned up enough for our purposes. It doesn't have to be perfect. This glue dries clear, but even if it didn't, well, I'm painted anyway, so what difference does it really matter, you know? Alright, so with that being said, let's go ahead and we will do the this little stalagmites and stalactites. So I'm going to push this back into the corner just for some stability while I do this. The stalagmite is going to get some glue on the bottom and on the back side of it. And the stalactite just gets it on the back side of it. Now I have really not had a whole heck of a lot of trouble getting the ones that are getting mounted up high to stick and stay stuck. I only had issue with one of them, and I wound up just bracing it with a couple of little Lego pieces, and that worked pretty well while it dried. But if you have trouble, then you could set these with some super glue and a spray-on activator instead, and that would bond them instantly. But that should be good enough. Now, I am once this dries, I'll go back in and I'll fill the cracks on this. Well, typically I use super glue to do that, but you could use some of the little modeling putties to do that. So that one's drying, but let me show you what a dried one, what you can get. So I've got a little pool up here on the wall, a double stalagmite and a stalactite, and that's a corner piece that was already glued up. And then the next step on this one will be to fill those cracks that you see. It's easy to see them on the back. If you can see, each piece looks like it has a line, a layer on it, and I'll fill that so that this looks like one seamless piece. Here's one that I painted up, and you can see how by taking the time to fill those, it looks much more like a seamless piece of stone instead of something that you get, 4 individual pieces. You can still tell if you're really looking for it, but it really helps a lot. And then you can see on the front side what I did with a freestanding stalagmite and then a couple others on the actual wall itself. So this piece is not done being painted yet. This has the base coat. I use white. This is actually a color called School Bus, and this one here is my deep lava color, and then this little piece on the back is my regular lava orange, and then the whole thing gets a wash, and I use Quickie shoe polish and brown to do the wash on these. And then the next step will be to do a dry brush in Stone Edge. I'm sorry, not Stone Edge, Cavern Gray. Once I do the dry brush, I may go back in on these 2 white pieces and add some white accents onto them. Then that little pool, I don't know, it's probably real hard to see, but that little pool that's going to be down there at the bottom of this white piece, that's going to get painted in like a deep kind of teal green. That'll get some gloss put over the top of it, and then all of the stalactites and stalagmites will get some gloss, not solid gloss, but some drips and striations to make them look like they're wet. And that all is after, of course, I clear coat the whole thing just to protect it. But that's what will happen with that. I've also got some freestanding cave pieces, which are like this, and that's already glued up, but that's kind of cool. I have to fill the lines on this and then I'll start painting that up, but these can just plop down anywhere where you're wanting to add like 3/4 cover, that kind of thing, and you'll have a little more interest in the middle of the cave floors. There's nothing worse than going to all the work and having all your interest just on the perimeters of the room. By making up these, I can add quite a bit to what otherwise would be bland, boring rooms. I've also got some straight wall cave pieces made up, so that's one of them there. Now, again, I'll fill cracks. Like you can see, there's a pretty heavy straight line that runs up, and that'll all get filled so that blends nicely. And then the whole thing will get painted out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet with the detailing on this piece. It has a lot of interest to it, and I don't think I want to do it all one solid color, but I'll see what I come up with for that. But another example of one that's ready to get filled and then to get painted. So I guess I will go ahead and cut the video here, give my wrist a rest. But I've got a few more pieces that I'm going to work on. If you guys have any questions, leave them for me in the comments, and thanks for checking out the video.
If you like our video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more great videos like this.